Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica on our very long-running series at this point in time, the Unported playlist, where I take a look at my favorite unported arcade games of all time. And for the next 5 weeks, I have the Unported Hall of Fame. 5 of my favorite games from this entire series that I talked about very early in the channel that I am bringing back because they still remain unported and they're still some of my favorite games of all time. And we're kicking it off with Dirt Dash, basically the off-road version of Ridge Racer from Namco. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But I fell in love with Dirt Dash when I first played in arcades, and ever since then, I have been hunting for a PCB to add to my collection. And in the entire time since I did the first video almost 2.5 years ago, I have still not found a single Dirt Dash for sale. I was offered one, but it was all the way across the world. It wasn't working and shipping was $200, so I definitely said no on that one. But if you know anything about Namco, you know they make absolutely incredible racing games, almost to the level of Sega. Now you can leave me a comment down below and say Namco's better, that's totally fine, and I might believe it some weeks, but I still love Sega just that much more. But what Namco did in the 90s with 3D arcade racing games is spectacular. Ridge Racer, Ridge Racer 2, Rave Racer, Dirt Dash, they're all absolute hits, and Dirt Dash basically got forgotten about compared to all of the Ridge Racer entries, and that is so unfair because this is definitely my favorite racing game from Namco of the era running on the Super System 22. It just looks incredible. I love the off-road aspect. This is basically Namco taking on Sega with Sega Rally, but doing it in a very Namco way, which is definitely more arcadey than Sega's games. Granted, Sega wasn't all about realism, but Namco goes even goofier with it, and I love this jump competition at the front where you need to get the best jump just to get that a little bit of extra high score on the leaderboard. But this is just a fun game, but it is insanely simple, but in that simplicity lies the fun. There is only one course. There's 5 different areas, but you start in one place and you end at the exact same place running one gigantic loop around the entire world of Dirt Dash. But let me tell you, even on easy, this game is punishingly hard. You make 1 or 2 mistakes, you're not going to see the ending, and I love that there are a few shortcuts in the game. We're not talking San Francisco Rush levels of different shortcuts that you can take, but there are a few here and there, and once you find them, you definitely feel like you're having a good time hitting them. But whether you're in first person or third person, this is just so much fun, and I love the physics engine of Namco driving games. You can definitely throw your car around the track. Now, because this is emulation, we lose a little bit of that wheel feedback that you would have had in arcades, so you do need to change your perception of how much steering you need to use to make sure you don't oversteer. And you'll see there I took my first time over. And that's the unfortunate part about emulation. Even with a force feedback wheel, nothing's ever going to rival the original cabinet, but of course, emulation is amazing because without the original cabinet or emulation, we would not have this game whatsoever. And it's such a disappointment that Namco never brought this home to PlayStation 1, even if it would have been, much less visually impressive than the arcade counterpart. We got all the Ridge Racers at home. It is strange that Namco never brought this to us here, and I hate running out of time just like this. I made it past that checkpoint, but it said no. But the overall vibe and feel of Dirt Dash is incredible. You go through so many different environments: city, rural, this jungle, snowy mountains, everything in between. It gives you one taste of every single type of driving you can do, and the road texture changes, as does your handling, exactly like in Sega Rally. Right here when we're on dirt, the back end of the car wants to go out a lot more, and you have to fight with the steering to make sure you don't go into the wall. All the while, there's all of these switchback turns, and things get very narrow, and there are different obstacles to avoid. And you can see there, if we had stayed up, we would have been able to jump that river and not slow down in the water. This is just intense from start to finish, and it is an absolute blast. It only takes you like 6 minutes to see the entire game, but what you're going to want to do is keep coming back and trying over and over to get better times, and honestly, it is so hard. You're going to take 10 to 15 times just to see the ending, but it also has an amazing soundtrack, so go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds and I'll be right back. It doesn't really fit as far as racing in the off-road is concerned, but I still absolutely do love it. You get another jump here as well. Now this definitely feels very similar to something like Ridge Racer, except you are off-road, and that is a good comparison to make. As you can see here with all these switchbacks going up and down the mountain, it does remind me of something, and that is Ridge Racer and Ridge Racer 2. We have the same switchbacks, we have the same up and down on the mountain, we just have a little bit of a faster pace and more drifting because we are street racing versus off-road racing in Dirt Dash. But it makes sense that Namco created Dirt Dash because they wanted a counterpart to Ridge Racer and they wanted to compete with Sega's success. Now this was the first game I added to Unported Hall of Fame, and that is because in the time since I've made this video, I still never really hear anybody talk about this game, and that still lets me down so much because it is absolutely spectacular. And leave me a comment down below and tell me if you played it, if you enjoy it, and if you know where there is still a cabinet for it. Because this is a game that I have not seen for years, not since the early 2000s, and this was a mid-90s game. This may be very well almost extinct in North America, and who knows about Japan, but I will tell you in all my travels and all of my arcades I have visited, I have not seen an original Dirt Dash cabinet since like 2005 or 2006, and that was out in Colorado while I was traveling. But as we move on to the snowy area here as well, you can 100% see the Sega Rally inspiration it wears on its sleeve, because just like Sega Rally, we're going through all of these different environments that have different weather effects and different handling mechanics on the vehicle. But I will say that really works to the game's advantage because it's always giving you something new to do. Now you may notice I've been using the same vehicle in this entire capture. Normally I don't do that, but I will say I'm not sure if there's something going on with the emulation controls, but every other vehicle in this game just throws itself around the course like it has been drinking. It is unfortunate, but hey, I mean, we have one good car and it is gun barrel or point blank, so that means I would probably have picked it anyway. But I will say again, just as we come down these turns here through these ice fields and I restart there because I ran out of time again, this game just keeps me coming back for more. And if you know anything about my channel, you know I love arcade racing games, Namco and Sega specifically, and this is just one that I cannot believe kind of goes forgotten about. You will hear people talk about Ridge Racer all day long, and rightfully so. It's one of the best racing franchises of all time. But I think Dirt Dash is as good as that game, even if it is slightly different, and I never hear anybody talking about this game, and I will be curious in the comments to see who remembers it, who loves it, who hears about it from the first time. And you will see there on the ice, if you hit some of those moguls, you're going to have a bad time as well. But I just love the traversal through the world of Dirt Dash, starting in the city, going to the countryside, traveling through the jungle, going over a snowy mountain, going through dirt areas. Everything about it just works, and that's what I love. It's constantly showing you something new, and right here feels really similar to Ridge Racer. But unlike Ridge Racer, in Dirt Dash, if you make a mistake and you touch that wall, you're going to get much more punished for it. It takes a more deft hand to be able to get around the course in Dirt Dash than any other Ridge Racer games before it. But just again, the power of the system this is on, the Namco System 22, I just love going through downtown Hong Kong here, what I assume is Hong Kong based upon the buses and the look, in first person. The colors pop. This hardware from Namco had a very specific look, just like the Sega Model 2 and 3. This is remembered as being the Namco look, and I really do love it. Kind of the pixelation on the ground if you're not paying attention, everything like that. Let me tell you, if you let the opponent characters get anywhere near you, they're going to bounce you around the course, and they're absolutely going to throw you. As we come over this jump here and land, let's go to a side-by-side with Ridge Racer 2 and Dirt Dash. Even the courses feel kind of similar. You have your tunnels, you have your turns, you start out in a city and go up into the mountains. You can see how much some of these games inspired other games, and because some of the same designers and developers worked on both of them, they obviously are just twin brother-sister in a different genre. You even get the Namco helicopter flying around the world of Dirt Dash, and that was something they put in basically every single racing game they had. A helicopter is going to blow by you at one point in time, and there it is on the right hand side with Ridge Racer 2. But I just love these games, and when I thought about the top 5 games I wanted to talk about from the early Life of Unported playlist, Dirt Dash 100% came to the top of my mind because I love this game and I want more people to play it. And luckily, you can emulate it on MAME today. If you have a good wheel and pedal setup, it's as close as the real arcade experience as you can get, unless you find a cabinet. And if you know where there is one, leave me that comment down below because I want to find it. Short of that, I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.